And actually 5e is pretty complicated when compared to older editions of D&D and to genuine rules light systems. There's a danger for people who know only D&D 5th edition to think it's a simple game, either because, well, they think so because it's what they're familiar with as opposed to learning a new system, or their table actually ignores a good number of the rules, or their DM is doing some changing of those rules for them. Next is the big one, action economy. It's simpler in Pathfinder. In D&D 5e, you get to move on your turn. You also get to interact with something on your turn. This guide also says communicate. Everyone in most systems treat that as free anyway. Then you have one action, and you have one bonus action, and one reaction that can trigger outside of your turn. Reactions can happen on your turn too. Your bonus action cannot be used unless you have a special ability that uses it. In Pathfinder, an action is an action is an action, and you get 3 actions and 1 reaction that can trigger outside your turn or during your turn. Relative to 5e, where movement was separate from your action and your interact was separate from your action, so they were functionally 1 free instance of that per turn for you. In Pathfinder, they each cost an action also. Moving up to your speed is an action, interacting with an object is an action. Well, to new players, being able to do something for free sounds like a great deal. It's just something you don't have to worry about. However, things that are presented as free, sometimes it feels bad when you got to do it more than once. Let's look at an example. This guy wants to attack that goblin who's 40 feet away. Well, in Pathfinder, he would just stride 2 times and strike with his weapon. In D&D, he would move and then use the dash action to move his speed a second time, and his turn's over. He can't make an attack because he already used his action to dash. Meanwhile, he's wasted his interact and bonus action. They were just lay fallow during this turn. Basically, what was once an afterthought to you before you started to try to do more things on your turn now costs you your main action for your turn. What if our fighter wants to switch weapons and attack this goblin instead with his bow? Well, stowing away the weapon, pulling out his bow, both interact actions. Then he gets to fire his bow with a strike. In D&D, those 2 interactions require him to use the use an object action, and now his turn's over, and he can't make an attack. Now, many tables will house rule this as a bonus action, but that's a house rule, and it's the DM and the player making up something that the rules should be providing. There is precedent for that, after all, from 4th edition D&D, nor can you convert any of these other things that you're not using to help you out in this department. Your quote-unquote free movement, which you didn't want to use this turn, is useless to you this turn, and you have a wasted bonus action again. And not everyone has a bonus action in this game. Not every class or build is built equally. You might be tempted to think that all of these action types have a relative weight to each other, and that would seem to be suggested by the fact that you can move a second time with your action. You're basically trading your action for a second move, and you can also trade your action to interact a second time with the use an object action. However, bonus actions are in their own universe. You cannot use your bonus action, trade that in for anything, and you cannot use your action to do something that costs a bonus action. And it doesn't really help that the game calls bonus actions especially swift. Are they really swift? Let's look at examples. What if our bard wants to give bardic inspiration to somebody with their bonus action and also cast an especially swift spell called Healing Word, which uses their bonus action? Impossible, because they both use the bard's bonus action. Cannot do that. And what if our cleric wants to cast Healing Word, an especially swift spell, and cast Spiritual Weapon, an especially swift spell with his actions? Can't do that because they both use his bonus action. Another unhappy consequence too of all these action types, which it's not unique to 5e, it's from the legacy of 3rd edition where there are even more types of actions, is that the DM has to ask the player, are you done yet? Have you used all your... You still have a bonus action. Are you done? And also the fact that you can split up your movement. Are you done? Are you still... Do you want to move anywhere else? Whereas in Pathfinder 2e, it's unambiguous. When they do 3 actions, I just call the next person. And I brought this up in one of my critiques of the D&D 6th edition playtest. I found out that the bonus actions were never playtested. In the last playtest packet, dated September 19, 2013, there are no bonus actions. Healing Word uses what's called a swift action. And the rules in that playtest say that you can use your action to cast a swift action spell. Why they decided to put in a rule that wasn't playtested in the end, I don't know. Maybe they didn't want people to spam Healing Word. 4E had its own solution for this. It limited the number of times you could cast it in the battle. But anyway, we're left with this inelegant mechanic of bonus actions that are neither actions and neither bonuses. And no one understands them. Why is that a bonus action? Not because of any justification in the lore. It's because the game told you so. And Mike Merles, who was the lead designer, is my understanding of the D&D Next playtest process, several years later said, bonus actions are fairly hacky, and with 3+ years running the final game under my belt, it's now obvious how to live without them. So he basically said that they can be improved on and should be improved on. But in D&D 6th edition, we have heard nothing after 8 playtests now, quote-unquote playtests, that they intend to do anything about this issue. Number 19, spellcasting is simpler in a number of ways in Pathfinder. In D&D 5e, first of all, you have to deal with managing your different action types. Here's a screenshot from D&D Beyond where it necessarily tells you which spells use your action and your bonus action. We also have this funky rule, which I despise. If you cast a bonus action spell on your turn, you cannot use your action to cast the spell unless it's a cantrip. This still trips me up after many years, and trips up many tables. It's convoluted. And when you need to plan your turn, you have to think about it from the start of your turn. If you plan to do your bonus action spell at the end of your turn, that limits what you do before that, and that's weird. Now, maybe the Sorcerer Quickened Spell Metamagic ability will help you here, but it doesn't. If you make that Fireball a bonus action spell, this rule still applies. You cannot cast a second Fireball. You can only cast a cantrip with it. The way to cast 2 Fireballs is to take 2 levels in Fighter, so that you can get a second action on your turn. And if you're using Action Surge to cast multiple spells on your turn, don't do a bonus action spell, because that means both of your action spells must be cantrips. This especially swift spell, bonus action spell, shackles the rest of your turn and doesn't make any in-world sense. In Pathfinder, you just have to worry about the number of actions the spell uses to cast it, and you can have more than 1 spell per turn so long as you have enough actions. Our bard can inspire courage with 1 action. This is the single action symbol. And also cast Soothe, a 2-action spell to heal an ally. Our cleric can cast Heal, which, as you can see, has a variable number of actions, 1, 2, or 3. They each have a different effect. Can cast a single action Heal, and also cast Spiritual Weapon, which uses 2 actions. But you might want to spend 2 actions so that you can cast Heal at range and heal more hit points, or the 3-action version, which heals all living creatures in a 30-foot emanation and harms the undead. There are other spells that cost 3 actions, and some cost 6 actions. In the case of this spell, Horizon Thundersphere, which is Pathfinder's version of Kamehameha, you can use 3 actions on 2 consecutive rounds to get a uber effect that causes a ball of lightning to explode around your target. Very cool. So Pathfinder doesn't use action types and meta rules to balance the spells. It just makes certain spells cost more actions. So that was another installment of my 20 things in Pathfinder that are simpler than D&D 5e. If you liked the video, like and subscribe, and ring the bell if you want to be notified about the video of the full list that will be coming out. And if you're interested, back when I was still making videos to improve the next edition of D&D, I did do a video asking the question, should the next edition take up Pathfinder's 3-action economy, where I answered no, and I proposed something else. So check that out too. Also, you may want to join my Discord. We're now over 4,000 people. I hang out there a lot, and people talk Pathfinder and other games, and also people play Pathfinder there. We have a drop-in organized play system called Endless Tale Tavern. Also, support my Patreon. It allows me to continue my channel, and you get early access to many of my videos and exclusive access to the campaign where I'm running Pathfinder 2e with D&D YouTubers. So that's it. If you liked the video, like and subscribe. I've been Ronald the Rules Lawyer, and I'll see you next time.